Kukoc is starting up front instead of Rodman for the Bulls, and Williams might match up a bit better with Kukoc at the outset of the game. For Chicago, Jordan, who had 34 points in the only meeting between these two teams in early January in Detroit, and he's averaging just shy of 29 points a game this year. As you see, a 31-point career average against the Pistons. In the backcourt with Harper. Kukoc, last year's 6th man of the year, who did well as a starter, Zeke, when Dennis Rodman was unavailable, Scottie Pippen rather, early in the year, and then when he went back to his 6th-man role, he kind of disappeared. He's been unable to find himself.
Well, Tony plays much better as a starter. He's got his rhythm down. He's shooting the ball well when he starts, and he gives Chicago added offensive punch that they need right now in their starting lineup.
Alvin Gentry has split 4 games since taking over as the Pistons coach following the firing of Doug Collins. He was 15 and 21 as the interim coach of the Miami Heat in between Kevin Lockery and Pat Riley. Been an assistant in the NBA for a decade with the Spurs under Larry Brown, later with the Clippers, then the Heat, and then Detroit. He's careful to praise Doug Collins as a great basketball mind, feels that he's helped him get to this position in the NBA. But now it's his job perhaps to win. If the Pistons should rally and make it to the playoffs and make a reasonable showing in the playoffs, then Gentry's name becomes part of the mix for the permanent head coaching job.
Well, the players like playing for Gentry. All of them have rallied around him. Grant Hill speaks highly of him. Lindsey Hunter speaks highly of him. The younger guys, Brian Williams. So, you know, Alvin Gentry has won their confidence, and they've come out and they're playing very hard for him in the last 3 to 4 games.
Brian Williams and Luke Longley to jump center. Grant Hill chases it to the side and saves it into Lindsey Hunter. The officials are Bill Oakes, James Capers, Mark Wonderling. Pippen on Hill. Williams averaging 17. Misses the game's first shot, and Jordan has the rebound. The Bulls are 22-2 at home. Best home record in the league. Just over 500 on the road. Harper on the run off glass. The Bulls are just a 14-13 team away from the United Center. Of course, some of that is early in the year without Pippen, but still it's a potential vulnerability. Pippen almost stole it, but he was on the end line as he tried to save it back in. The officials now trying to decide how much time should be on the shot. Jerome Williams looking inside, finding Hill, spinning and connecting. He's more of a post-up player now under Alvin Gentry and handling the ball a bit less in their offense.
Well, they want to get him started out early in the post. Grant Hill is not going to come out and handle the ball as much. They want Lindsey Hunter to take some of the ball distribution and put Grant in the post.
Michael misses, and Williams has the rebound. Guarding Jordan. Kukoc. Longley spins to the hoop with the left hand and ties the game at 4. Dumars has Jordan defensively at the outset. It clear. They did not want this to be any sort of valedictory tour for Michael Jordan. Come on back. Let it run its course. We'll be back.
Ahmad Rashad back in Chicago. Now at the halftime, Alvin Gentry told his team that they were in great position. Only 3 points down, that they had hung in there very well, but to be very wary of the Bulls trying to come out and make a run early in the 3rd quarter. Phil Jackson told his team too many turnovers and didn't create any turnovers. Said what they got to do is continue to run their offense and try to get the ball inside. Bob?
Ahmad, thanks a lot. Just before halftime, Grant Hill stopped by, and as he was walking toward the locker room, he looked at you and said, "Hey, Zeke, want to suit up?" You guys missed each other by a year. He came in the year after you left.
Yeah, he did. I'd have loved to have the opportunity to play with him and also to talk to him about what it takes to win championships and how do you conduct yourself in this league and building and growing. It's a very difficult process. It's a long learning process, but he's a young man that I would enjoy playing with.
As we start the second half, Rodman again on the bench at the beginning of the half, and here's Kukoc starting in his stead, rolling one home. Part of the reason why Chicago hasn't gotten the sort of production from its reserves that they'd hoped for is that Kukoc has gone backwards since returning to the six-man role. He was starting in Pippen's absence and playing pretty well. And this is especially a problem for Chicago because he was the sixth man of the year last year, so they're losing a lot of production off the bench as long as Kukoc continues to struggle. Today's starting because Rodman missed a shoot-around and was benched, at least as a starter, by Phil Jackson. Rodman did play a considerable portion of the first half. Pippen hits the jumper, and Alvin Gentry immediately asked for a 22nd timeout.
You know, Bob, you talked about Indiana earlier coming in here, and what strikes me most about Chicago right now is their bench really only goes about 6 deep right now. When you look at the Indiana Pacers, they go 9, 10 deep. They got big bodies that they can keep running in. They got shooters, they got scorers, they got guards, and Jackson and Travis Best. You know, that game is Tuesday night, and that's going to be a big test for Chicago, and it's going to be interesting to see how their bench responds to the Indiana bench.
Brian Williams apparently got poked in the eye just before the timeout. The Pistons trail by only 3 at the half. There you see him squinting and struggling through it. The Bulls have scored the first 2 baskets of the third quarter to widen it out to 7. Williams stays in the game, though, screening for Grant Hill, who spins around his defender and lays it home. He now has 11 points. He also has 3 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, and no turnovers to this point in the game.
Whenever Brian Williams is off the box, it opens the lane up so Grant Hill has driving lanes.
Longley. And Hill takes the rebound. Around Pippen and then losing it to Jordan. Longley picks it up and Hill pokes it out of bounds.
Grant Hill loves to get into the lane. You see Brian Williams comes off the box and he's able to get into the lane and penetrate. That's where he's the most dangerous at. That allows him to get to the foul line. That allows him to create and break down the defense.
Longley from Pippen. Kukoc with the follow. Kukoc with a dozen now. Hunter out of the backcourt, pairing with Dumars. Brian Williams feeds Hill. And Grant Hill with 2 quick buckets at the outset of the third quarter. Kukoc with room. Long rebound to Jerome Williams. The Pistons are without Grant Long, the veteran forward, who fractured his foot in a Friday loss at Miami. So their bench is a bit thin. Hunter with a 2-point attempt that's long. Kukoc has the rebound.
Bob Jordan is all over Dumars. He's yet to score a bucket yet.
Pippen. And Scotty connects. You know, we were talking about Dumars having to defend Jordan. We sometimes forget about the flip side. Michael can still be a very tenacious defender himself.
Yeah, you know, when Jordan, when he guards you, you know, he shuts you down. You know, when he gets on you, the coach says, okay, we're going to go to somebody else. That's when you know you have a stopper.
Jerome Williams hammered as he tries to make his move, and he'll come to the foul line.
You see, Grant Hill understands how to play. You see Scottie Pippen with his head turns and he makes the backdoor cut. He understands how to move without the basketball. You know, when you're looking at Grant Hill, you're looking at a true winner. You know, this is a guy who's won all his life. He's won in high school. He's won in college, played under Coach Krzyzewski, and he's very frustrated right now because he came into the NBA. He thought he would have early success. And going into the playoffs, he sees a lot of changes around him. And right now, Grant Hill is at the crossroads of his career.
Jerome Williams misses them both, so the Pistons can't cut into a 7-point Chicago lead. Jordan driving on Dumars. Double pumps and banks it up, but it's in and out. Hill. Hunter for three. That's the game's first three-pointer. Prior to that, Detroit had been 0 for 5, and Chicago had missed all 4 of their three-point tries. Jordan from Kukoc, but can't finish it. Hill quickly back, and Jerome Williams can't find the handle.
You know, you saw Grant working without the ball. Now watch Michael sets Dumars up, and he gives him the back cut. What made it happen is the setup. He set Dumars up, and then he made the back cut, but he missed the layup.
Kukoc, lunging one-hander, bounces home over Jerome Williams. Kukoc with 14. The Bulls by 6. Hill into the lane, finding Brian Williams, who hits off the baseline. 10 assists now for Grant Hill.
Grant Hill is exceptionally smart out on the basketball court. You know, when you look at basketball teams and you talk about beating them, the first thing you got to do is beat them mentally before you can beat them physically. Grant Hill understands that.
Hill with 10 assists, 13 points, and he already has 6 rebounds, so he could be headed for a triple-double. Brian Williams over Longley, who made him change the shot, and then a foul. Williams picks it up, trying to follow his own shot, and you're watching the NBA on NBC.
Even more basketball.
Grant Hill missed the versatility. He can do it all. You know, he passes, he can score, he can rebound. He does it all for the Detroit Pistons. His versatility is very similar to Magic Johnson, where he can take it coast to coast and finish with the slam. Grant Hill likes to talk about himself being compared to Magic Johnson, and some of his skills are on display today. He reminds me a lot of a young Magic Johnson when Magic came out of Michigan State. The only difference is that when Magic came out of Michigan State and went to the Los Angeles Lakers, he went to James Worthy, Kareem, Norm Nixon, and that whole crew.
And in recognition of his look inside the game, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. The Bulls by 4. Harper with a tap pass to Pippen. The 3 out of the corner is there.
That's what Chicago kills you at. When you go to double team Michael Jordan, they have great spacing, they have good three-point shooters, and they knock those shots down.
Pippen has scored 15. Dumars held scoreless by Jordan. Tries one over him, and there is his first basket. A tough shot, too. He had to lean inside of it and get it up on a double pump.
See, when you're guarding Jordan, a lot of times your focus and your concentration is so much on guarding him that you forget that you're an offensive player also.
Jerome Williams comes away with the steal. Trailing by 5, the Pistons come back. Inside 6 minutes to play in the third. Williams overshoots it, air ball. Harper has it at the other side of the rim. Kukoc dumps it behind him to Longley. Brian Williams breaks it up to Grant Hill. Hill cutting through the lane, contact away from the ball. And Scottie Pippen picks up the foul. It's his first.
What makes Michael Jordan so tough is that he can pass out of the post. He reads defenses. He reads the double team. He finds the open man. Harper on the skip pass to Pippen. Perfect rotation. That's where they're the most dangerous at. You don't know whether to double Jordan, leave him in the post, let him go one-on-one. In the past, they've had great three-point shooters with Steve Kerr being out. They don't have the type of three-point shooters that they're used to having. But in that triple post offense with that three-point spacing, they can be deadly.
Kerr with the dislocated shoulder out until next month. Hill over Pippen after bumping him a bit. And Grant Hill having a big third quarter.
You see, when Grant Hill has that floor, when he has the side of the floor cleared, you know, he's a great one-on-one basketball player. He's able to take you right and left, and he can also pull up and hit the 10, 15-foot jump shot.
Kukoc from Pippen. Hill with another rebound.
See, he has control of this basketball game right now. It's his tempo and his rhythm.
Lindsey Hunter missed. And then Hunter is wrapped up by Longley, who fouls him over the back.
So you have to honor Grant Hill's first step. So Scotty backs up, and now he's able to shoot the fadeaway over him. You got to honor his first step because he's so quick.
That foul was Longley's fourth. He's fouled out of 7 games this year. Only Sean Kemp of the Cavaliers has been disqualified more often. Kemp has fouled out 8 times. And now Longley sits down, and Rodman comes in for the first time in the second half.
We talked about Rodman earlier, that when the situation is not good with the coaching staff, that's when he normally gets distracted and becomes defiant. And I hope we're not seeing Dennis Rodman become that way.
Here's what happened here. The ball goes into the backcourt, and the initial call is a backcourt violation. But Lindsey Hunter felt that Ron Harper had made some contact with it, and apparently the official with a better view agrees with Hunter and awards the ball to Detroit.
I think Ron Harper did tip that basketball, and Lindsey, I think, tipped it also.
Hill, fouled by Pippen. No, call it an offensive foul. They call it on Grant Hill.
I disagree with that call. It was a spin move, and Scottie Pippen was reaching in, and I think that was the correct angle that his left arm takes. See, when he spins, it's elbow. Well, I think Scottie Pippen may be right on that one.
Here is Michael. 14 for MJ. I think you may have viewed the Hill-Pippen exchange from a Detroit perspective, which you can be forgiven for.
No, Bob, I screwed up that play.
Hunter does not mess up on the 3. He's got a dozen. The Pistons are within 2. Harper from Rodman to bring it back to 4. 61-57 Chicago, 3:45 to play in the third. Kukoc went for the steal. Hill is left free. It's short, and Michael has the rebound. Harper misses the 3, and Montross has the rebound. Dumars got it back from Williams and traveled. No basket. Dumars walked.
Joe's having a tough time here today. But anytime you guard Michael Jordan, so much of your focus is on stopping him and defending him that you really lose your rhythm in playing offense. You forget how to shoot, you forget what you do, you forget your movement, because all your focus and concentration is on stopping 23 and White.
Jordan with a 20-footer that's good. Dumars and Montross have gone out. Stackhouse and Rick Mahorn in for Detroit. To Rodman.
They'll play for 1 here. Don't be surprised if you see a 3-point shot goes up here so they can go up 13.
Shot clock just a couple of seconds behind the game clock. And Jordan is bumped by Stackhouse. Now Stackhouse, coming over in the Theo Ratliff deal from Philadelphia, is a guy who does not know if he'll be in Detroit in the future. They're still trying to decide where and how he fits in.
There's a lot of uncertainty about if Stackhouse is going to be one of their guys in the future. He wants big-time dollars, and they need to decide if he's going to be one of their main guys or not.
Jordan. He'll take the last one, it looks like. Lunging and missing. Complaining that he was fouled. He's all over Bill Oakes. But he doesn't get the call. A 10-point Chicago lead after 3. Hill and Kukoc each had big third quarters. We'll be right back after these words from your local station. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Make it with MD.
Sports with George Michael, working for you.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
You know, whenever you see Dennis Rodman in a timeout, or whenever there's a break in the action, he'll take his shoes off. And the reason why he takes his shoes off, he has a skin disorder. He has what you call hot feet, because he runs so much on his toes that his feet get real hot and he doesn't sweat a lot. So anytime that he can get some air underneath his feet, he loves that. At the end of the game, you may find him in the locker room putting his feet in a tub of ice just to cool him down.
6 rebounds to this point of the game, as you saw for Rodman, who leads the league, averaging 15.5 a game. His high performance, 29. His low rebound game of the season, 3, each against Atlanta. We start the fourth, and Brian Williams takes it to the hole, is fouled by Jordan, and has a chance to move the Pistons to within 7 here. Tuesday night on TNT. The Pistons and the Spurs, 8 Eastern time. Part of a 3-game swing through Texas for the Pistons. They'll also play the Rockets and the Mavericks.
That was a nice call by Alvin Gentry coming out of the timeout. Chicago had the momentum. They had a chance to put the game away. He called the play, and now they're down 8 again.
And the rebound game of the season, 3, each against Atlanta. We start the fourth, and Brian Williams takes it to the hole, is fouled by Jordan, and has a chance to move the Pistons to within 7 here. Tuesday night on TNT. The Pistons and the Spurs, 8 Eastern time. Part of a 3-game swing through Texas for the Pistons. They'll also play the Rockets and the Mavericks.
That was a nice call by Alvin Gentry coming out of the timeout. Chicago had the momentum. They had a chance to put the game away. He called the play, and now they're down 8 again.
And the entire difference just about can be explained this way. The Pistons are now 7 of 15 from the line. Chicago is 10 for 10. So the road team has gotten half again as many free throws as the home team, but they haven't been hitting them. Jordan spinning through a crowd. Randy Brown has trouble with it in the corner, returns it to Michael. The shot clock's going to run out. Even had the shot been good, it wouldn't have counted. 24-second violation on the Bulls.
See, this is where the championship teams, after you've been through it time and time again, these are the type of games that you struggle in. You need some type of energy coming in off the bench. I think Chicago needs a major trade or some type of player that can come in and give them some type of energy coming in off the bench, so the veterans won't have to wear themselves out in the regular season.
Williams backing in on Cappy, but loses it. Michael back the other way. Burrell open, but thinks better of it. Now he'll fire it. And Scott Burrell hits a 3.
You need that from him. You know, you can't depend so much on Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman to carry the load. These other guys have to step up and support him.
Chicago by 11. And that's the game's biggest lead. Hunter from Hill to cut it to 8. The third three-pointer of the day for Lindsey Hunter.
When Lindsey spotted up and took that shot, he took a look down just to see where his feet were, so he can make sure that he was behind the three-point line. Coaches will tell you that if you're that close to the three-point line, step behind it as opposed to shooting it right on it.
Randy Brown over Hunter. And Brown, who occasionally can provide some energy off the bench, he certainly did for a stretch of the game on Friday night against the Hawks, puts the Bulls back up by 10. Hill around Jordan to the hole, misses it. A whistle as Rodman gets after the rebound. There's a Chicago foul, and we're coming back after this.
Go to the net, NBA.com.
This used to be an ordinary town. Back in 1908, everybody wore hats and drove buggies. And then one day, Mr. Henry Ford's Model T showed up. And the big thing about Henry's new car was that everybody could afford one. Today, we all have 1 or 2 cars in the driveway. We eat in them, bank in them. We do everything in our cars. Coincidence? I think not. It's got Henry's dream written all over it. Ford, built to last.
It was just another night at Fun Police headquarters. Fun Police.
Slow down offense at Lincoln High.
Bug, slow down offense. Call 20-second timeout. We're on our way. This is Unit 21. Possible board basketball game in progress.
Yo, Unit 10 on the way. We copy that.
What's up, dog?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up? What's up?
What's up? Let's go, baby. I get it. Right, you having fun now?
It was just one game, one town. The job of the Fun Police is never done.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Snickers. Not going anywhere for a while? Grab a Snickers. Hungry? Why wait? By Ford, maker of vehicles that are built to last. And by Budweiser. Now is the perfect time to enjoy a fresh, cold Beechwood aged Budweiser.
Back in Chicago with the Bulls up by 10. Everybody trying to read the tea leaves and figure out what's going on concerning Michael Jordan and the Bulls. We asked Jerry Krause to come on with us at halftime. He politely declined. Apparently Krause and Reinsdorf now will hold to management's line through the end of the season, saying we're concentrating on a championship. We'll think about the future after we either win it or are eliminated. If Michael Jordan retires after this season, it would be virtually unprecedented in team sports. The only guy I could think of who stepped away at the absolute peak of his powers as the undisputed best player in his sport would be Jimmy Brown, who quit before his 30th birthday after winning, I think, his 8th rushing title in 9 years. You think about Sandy Koufax in baseball, he was still baseball's best pitcher, but his arm was about to fall off from arthritis. DiMaggio quit while he still had grace and while his image was still intact, but he was no longer the best player in baseball. Ted Williams' final season was a glorious one at age 42, and he homered in his last at-bat, but he was off his peak. In hockey, Gretzky is now past his peak whenever he quits. Burrell out of the corner, and Scott Burrell is way off with the 3. Mario Lemieux had a combination of the bad back and, of course, Hodgkin's disease. Bobby Orr was also hurt. Gordie Howe wanted to play forever. I can't think of anybody other than Jimmy Brown who stepped aside this close to the peak of their powers as the best in the game in a team sport if Jordan does it this time around.
You're right, Bob, and I can't think of any organization that wouldn't want him to come back and play for him. All he asked for is one thing, and that's Phil Jackson remains his coach.
Lindsey Hunter's 4th three-pointer of the game, and he's keeping the Pistons in it. They're down by 6.
If I'm managing this team, I give him Phil Jackson, I give him what he wants, and we try to do this thing all over again.
Here's Rodman. Let's go to Ahmad. He has some thoughts on this.
So I just, this is just another theory that I thought I'd throw in the mix of all this, Bob. Say Michael, unlike all these other athletes, buys the Bulls. And then hires himself and hires Phil and continues to play. That's possible now.
What would he pay himself?
Whatever he wanted, I imagine.
Brian Williams rolls one home. The Pistons are within 4, and Williams has 21 as Michael looks on.
Well, if he's looking for someone with some experience, I'll be a partner.
You do have some management experience. And would like to own a team again and own controlling interest, right? Here's Brown with an 18-footer, and Randy Brown left alone makes the Pistons pay.
No, I don't mind sharing, Bob. If Michael Jordan wants to own it, I'll share with him.
So you take 49 to his 51?
I would work for him.
The Bulls by 6. Hunter, another 3. This one's off. Jerome Williams has it. Up in a crowd and a whistle. The NBA wants Michael Jordan. NBC wants Michael Jordan. Fans of every team, not just the Bulls, as Cappy hits, want Michael Jordan to continue. All of America wants him to continue. But Jerry Reinsdorf alone has to pay for it. $36 million this year. Maybe more than that next year.
Well, I could tell you, as an opponent of his at one time, I bet you there are 28 other teams who are saying, we want him out of the league to give us a better chance at winning the championship. I know Larry Bird and the Pacers would like to see him retired.
Hill misses. Cappy back the other way. And fouled.
He's going to create for him. He's the guy who's going to distribute and get everybody else involved.
Mahorn has to come in. He's guarding Longley as Chicago brings it up, and Williams is on the bench with 5 fouls. Dumar's on Jordan around a Longley screen. Then Luke gets it back from him. Blocked by Reed. And it's out of bounds to Chicago.
Don Reed is another one of those guys who came from Georgetown with Jerome Williams, plays with great intensity, great energy.
Just 4 seconds to shoot. Pippen's the trigger man. Got to get rid of it. Pippen forces it and makes the 3. And if you're Alvin Gentry, you have to say to yourself, and he's just smiling and shaking his head, maybe not today.
He's smiling because Mahorn stepped out on the screen, knocked him off the block.
Here's Cappy from Pippen, and he's fouled. I mean, this is just a prayer tossed up by Pippen as the shot clock is about to expire, and it's a prayer which is answered. Again, next week we have another doubleheader for you. It begins with Houston at New York. That actually follows Showtime, which is at 12:30 Eastern. Then Houston at New York, followed by the Lakers at Orlando. It's Shaq's first return to Orlando as an enemy player because he missed last year's Laker game at Orlando with an injury.
I'm really looking forward to that game to see Shaq's return. You know, Orlando had a chance to be what the Los Angeles Lakers is today when they had Shaq, Penny Hardaway. They had great chemistry going, and I'm looking forward to seeing Shaq come back into that building.
Cappy's 2 free throws up at the 14, the game's biggest advantage. Chicago's on an 8-0 run and just about to put this one away.
This is the